Hello everyone out there, welcome to the Gore Report again. Today I'm doing a video on another way to winterize your motorcycle if you're like me and you don't ever want to stop riding unless it's snow on the ground type of situation. What I did is I put some heated grips on my bike. Unfortunately, I had some issues with the first couple video snippets that I took, so I'm kind of taking this after the fact, but I have the bulk of it. So basically, I'm gonna go through how to install these guys. Obviously, you can tell they're already on. Like I said, I lost the video, but these are Bike Master heated grips. I bought the kit for I think it was like 60 bucks or something like that on Amazon. I know that a lot of people use the Oxford ones, some other brands out there, but these are kind of built to a budget, and I thought it fit a little bit a little bit better with the bike itself, just because the bike's kind of built to a budget. So I figured this would be something that's easily attainable for most of you guys, and being $60 grips, they do work well. So my first video snippet that I still have is with all of this removed. So just to explain kind of where we're at to begin with, the first thing that I did to get access to the wiring, all of that kind of stuff, was pull the seats off. You do have to take the seats off to get the tank off, and then I did pull the tank. There's a couple electrical connectors, obviously a fuel line that you have to take off, but it's pretty simple stuff. Just take your time. Make sure that when you're pulling the tank off too, don't pull too hard, because if you leave a line on there, one of the little vent tubes or something like that, you will damage stuff, rip stuff out. Alright, we're back, and as you can see, the tank is off. Just a couple electrical connectors, a fuel line, some vent lines for that. Pretty simple stuff. I went ahead and had to cut one of the zip ties for this wiring loom because it tucks underneath. Oh, I'm dropping stuff everywhere apparently. It tucks underneath this tab here. So in order to pull it out of the way, just to get a little extra room, I also, if you didn't notice, I got this guy here. This is my fused link for my battery tender. So you may or may not have that. It's just one of those things that I added on already. But already got the negative terminal off, so there's no power to the bike at the moment. Positive terminal I'm just leaving on just for ease of use for right now. I will have to pull it off obviously when I wire this thing up, but for now at least the tank is off, so I can get started. First thing I'm gonna do is take these bar ends off. If you can see here, it is just a small Allen, so you just undo that and these will come off. A lot of people have a lot of different opinions on how to take the grips off. What I do, to be honest, I'm not reusing these things, don't care. I just cut them off. Take a razor knife or something, slit them, pull them off. It's the easiest way to go about doing that. So that's our next step. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will be right back in a minute. Alright, so as you can see, I have the bar ends off. You can see there's a little threaded insert. That's basically just how you take them off. Unscrew that guy all the way. I went ahead and cut the grips off, so there's nothing on this side. This is something that you probably will run into. A lot of OEMs do this on the throttle tube. It's got all of these little notches and little bits and pieces that stick up here. When you install the heated grip, it needs to be smooth. The heated grip is going to have to slide from the end all the way onto this guy. So the next step here is going to be cutting or shaving all of these little nubs off. Obviously this is a kind of a tedious thing to do, so I'm not going to bore you guys with every little bit in detail. The main thing to remember is that this tube should be smooth. So this smooth surface down here, is what you're looking for to knock all of these little notches down. All of these nubs on the outside of the tube as well as on the inside of the tube. If you don't take these off, then the grip won't be able to go on all the way. So you want to knock all these off. You don't want it right up against this switch assembly, but you want it to be close. So you're going to have to knock all of this off and smooth it out. So that's my next step here. I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I will be right back yet again. Alright, so I got this taken care of. I actually got pretty lucky on this throttle tube. This plastic is pretty soft on this bike, so I was able to cut most of these off with a razor knife. And you know, obviously it doesn't need to be the best looking thing in the world, just needs to be smooth. So next step, I opened up the package from my heated grips, and I'm just gonna slide them on for now, just to route all the wiring and stuff. Keep in mind, if you have never done this before, heated grips are hard. They're not squishy like the regular stuff. I mean, they do have a little bit of give, but there's like a hard core in there. So it's gonna be key, especially on the throttle side, that you glue it down. This kit thankfully came with some super glue, so I'm gonna put a dab of that before I get this thing all the way on. But you can see it literally just slides right on the throttle tube on this side. Main thing for this one is gonna be this guy here where the wire comes out. I'm gonna want it in the right spot, so I don't think I'll have any issues with braking, it being in the way, but I want to make sure that at like full throttle it's not, you know, obviously pulling up too much or something like that. So that's my next step now, is I'm going to get this thing set up. I'm starting to get this other side on. This one is tighter, it's just going straight on the bar though. Another thing to note, if you've never done any grips before, is this side, obviously without the throttle tube, is going to be a little smaller. So you will have a left and a right to your grips. So this bigger one is throttle side, slips right on. I will have to glue that one pretty good. This one is pretty tight. What you usually do is get like a dead blow mallet or something like that, and you could just tap it on the rest of the way. Some people will put some kind of lubricant or even just water on here to slide it on easily. You could do that too. With this one being so tight, I probably won't have to glue it, so at least that'll save me a little bit of time there. But that's what I'm going to do next. Both of these have little plugs that plug into this main harness here. So what I'm going to do is wire this with basically the rest of the wiring for the bike. I'll have the plugs mounted in a place where I can get to it pretty easily, and then the controller I will probably have come up and I don't know, mount on one of the bars somewhere. It has a little deal that the kit came with for mounting those on, and here it is, this little bracket. I'm not going to open that just yet, but that's my plan for this guy. So I'm going to go ahead and get this grip on all the way, and then start routing stuff for the wiring. I do have some black zip ties, so hopefully it'll all end up looking pretty factory and pretty clean. That's one thing that bugs me a lot of times, is if stuff doesn't look clean. But thankfully I have other things I can zip tie to. Have these little kind of wire basket things that I can route things through going forward, so everything looks uniform. So that's the plan right now. I'm going to go ahead and get on that, and then I will be right back yet again. And there, just from the magic of YouTube technology, now I have just about everything sorted as far as wiring goes. Got this grip all the way on. This one was pretty tight, so I didn't put any glue. It does not move whatsoever, so I'm good on that. So I went ahead and put the bar end back on. Went ahead and routed the wiring down through this carrier here, just for now, so we have somewhere for all of it to go. Wired up and mounted this little controller here. It's just a little clamp that goes on the handlebars, and I figured this side would be easy. You know, while you're riding, you could just boop, turn it on. Looking good there. I got this other grip on the throttle side. I did have to glue that one, like we were saying, because it was a little loose. Left a little bit of slack in the wire for now, just because I want to make sure I have enough slack when I'm turning the throttle so I don't pull it, stuff like that. But the connectors I actually got put down here. Tried to kind of tidy them up and tie them to some other stuff. Put it through this little wire corral here, or whatever you want to call it. Zip tie, and then these guys go out here. So we have some extra wiring harness that I'll probably just wrap up, just because I don't want to have to cut it out. I don't think that's really necessary. And this one actually came with a fuse for the positive side, which I don't necessarily need because I'm going to be using a fused relay. See, it's got this blade fuse in the relay itself. So I'll probably just cut this off on this side of the fuse and get it wired up. Wanted to go over what the relay looks like so that you guys kind of understand. Let's try to get it on the camera here. There's a little diagram on the top, as you can see, with the little switch and everything. So basically the way it works is number 30 obviously takes in the power. 30 amps is what we have our fuse for. That's going to be this red wire on the connector. Like I said, this guy kind of just plugs into this connector, and I can take it out if I need to. But just so you know kind of what we're looking at, the pin that goes in this red wire is the power. Black wire is going to be ground. We do have the white one is going to be signal, which I'm going to wire into basically anything that turns on with the ignition. I'll probably use the tail lamp or something simple like that, because if I get some of my garbage out of the way here, we do have a little connector for the tail light and stuff right here, and it would be easy to run the wire underneath this guy and kind of in here so that we don't have to go too far for the wiring. There's some other wiring in here, but I'm not exactly sure what all of this goes to, so I don't want to mess with that. I'll do something simple. So that's what we're going to do for the signal wire, and then obviously positive goes to the battery, negative goes to ground, and then once we have all of this stuff wired in, we should be able to at least power these guys on so that they work. So we'll get to wiring. Thankfully these guys are already, if you can see, the sheathing is already cut a little bit on there. I have some wiring connectors and stuff that I'm going to use, so that's basically it. Like I said, this is really the main thing that you want to get, because you don't want to be able to leave your heated grips on when the bike's not on, drain your battery. So that is what I'm going to do next here, is get this wired in. Obviously, again, I know that I keep skipping around in this, but I'm not going to bore you guys with the little tedious things. Just want to really make a video explaining how to do all this stuff, and kind of pointing out the things that I had questions on when I was first doing this kind of stuff. So hopefully this will help some of you guys out as far as figuring out what to do with the relays, how to wire them in, what some of this stuff needs to look like, and how to mount everything so that it looks clean and professional. I mean, that's what I always try to go for, is try to make it look like it came with it. I don't like wires hanging out everywhere. That's why I try to tie these things up and make this look like it was like that forever. that way. It just makes everything look cleaner. I know I probably have a little bit of OCD, but I think that works out for stuff like this, just because everything turns out a little bit nicer, and then you don't have to worry about wires hanging, getting caught and snagged and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started wiring, and then I will be back when I'm done, and hopefully we can test this system out and see how it works. Alright, so we are back, and I have my relay wired in. I don't have it tidied up yet because I want to make sure that this whole system works before I start buttoning things up. I did just run a signal wire to this plug for now, just for testing purposes. Like I said, I want to make sure all this stuff works before I splice the wire permanently, get everything buttoned up, and go for it, because if something goes wrong at this point, I'd rather have half of this apart and accessible so that I can move from there. So with us, I got the battery hooked back up and everything. So let's see if this works. Ooh, look at that. Did you see the little on thing on this guy? So push that, turn it on. Looks like it's working. Let's wait a second. Let's see if these grips start to get toasty. Now usually it'll take 30 seconds, 45 seconds to really get any sort of power into them. That's where they start getting warm, but I can already feel they're starting to warm up actually. Yeah. And obviously having them on the highest setting, you're going to feel it. Starting to get something coming through there. That's awesome. So these have like different levels of heating that you can do. But that is it. So it looks like we're good to go. I'll get that shut off so I don't waste my battery. And I'm going to go ahead and just tidy all this stuff up. Get it all tucked away so that I could put the tank back on, and we should be good to go for a little test ride. Alright, I got it all back together. It is running, so that's always helpful. Everything works. So we got our heated grips on here. It's been on for maybe a minute or two, and I'm feeling it. Feels good. They're heating evenly, doing what they're supposed to do. So that is it for the grip install. If you guys have any questions, feel free, drop me a comment. Go ahead, don't forget, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see some more content like this, and we'll catch you on the next one. Get out there and ride.